Okay, so sometimes you guys ask me the question, what's new in the news and stuff as far as flintnapping and related subjects. I don't know what is currently in the news for 2019 or more recent than that, like for the new year. But I have picked up an article off of off the off the internet. I'm not sure if I got it off of academia or just generally off the internet, but it was an interesting article. It's from 2013, and it's called "The Bow and Arrow in Northern North America." Okay, this is the authors here: Herbert, Maschner, and Owen Mason. Okay, what it states is, I'm just going to read some of this. There were at least 4 waves of bow and arrow use in North America. These occurred at 12,000, 4,500, 2,400, and about 1,300 years ago. Okay, so 12,000 is pretty old. Okay, now it says here the most significant event in the history of the bow and arrow is not its early introduction, but rather the Asian war complex 1,300 years ago, when the recurve and backed bows first entered the region, altering the regional hemispheric political dynamics forever. So that's the gist of this particular article. They focus on the Asian war complex. And if you Google it, you won't find much information on that. This is pretty much something either the authors came up with or is a very small community studying this particular complex, this Asian war complex. Okay? Now, it says here that the earliest bows had arrows that used microblades. Okay? That's what I find most interesting about this article is the very ancient bows, 12,000 years ago. That's like Clovis times. Okay? It says here, we will show that there is a direct functional relationship between the bow and arrow and particular focal species, as well as a strong relationship between elaboration of the bow and arrow and armed conflict. We will argue that in periods where the primary focal species was caribou, the bow and arrow was present in the north. When the focal species was moose, bison, or sea mammals, the atlatl was a dominant choice of technology. Okay, this holds true until the self bow was replaced by the Asian war complex, entering North America across the Bering Strait after 1300 BP, or before present. Okay? With the introduction of the backed and recurved bows, armor, wrist guards, and other features, and the bow itself became dominant and a resilient technology, except within the context of hunting sea mammals. All right. Now, it's not that long of a study. It's probably got like 8 pages or so. I highlighted quite a bit because I was going to do a video on this, an in-depth video, but I'm just going to do a quick one. There's an interesting picture here of snowmen used as targets. You can kind of see they were selective about where they hit those targets, which is kind of funny. All right. So there you go. That's the most interesting thing I've seen so far. The fact that there is, or there might be, solid evidence for bows being introduced very early in North America. They've got some illustrations here. So it's not just a study, it's not all just words. They've got some illustrations and photographs of actual artifacts. Let's see. Yeah, it's interesting because it goes into armor too, which is like little slats of wood or something that they would put on their chest in a vertical pattern. It's not horizontal. So there you go. What do I think of the possibility of bows that early in North America? I mean, I think it's very possible because 12,000 years is not very old in comparison to the bow technology itself. The bow and arrow technology goes back further in Asia and Europe than 12,000 years for sure. So it's not outside the range of possibility. So I think that's an interesting read, and I just wanted to bring that up. I can't think of anything else. I might go into making an arrow set or an arrow with the specifications mentioned in that study, but that's going to be a long ways off. I just wanted to bring that up, and I think I'll put some information in the description down below so you guys can look it up too. Okay.